Everybody wants to be a success, but nobody thinks about the pressure that actually comes with success. Now this is for what I'm going to call new leaders. And for the sake of argument, let's call new leaders anything 3 years or less. And if you want to get really technical, let's say you're in your role for 3 years or less. So maybe you've been leading for a long time, but you're in a new role now. So what are some ways to prepare? One thing you'll need to do is develop some emotional resilience. Why? Because you're going to be in the spotlight. You're going to be facing a lot of criticism. There's going to be a lot of people who think you're a jerk, even if you're a wonderful person. It doesn't matter. You're in the leadership position and they're not going to like you. And so you can't take that personally, but one of the ways to sort of deal with that is stay really grounded in your values. A second one is to focus on priorities, not perfection. Particularly when you're a new leader, you really want to get everything right because you know it affects people's lives. You care about that. We have a habit as time goes on to care less about that, and that's bad. Embrace your desire for perfection, but don't get too hung up on it. Focus on just a few things that truly matter and do well on that. The third one is you've got to stay connected to your purpose. Now, a lot of people say, oh, purposes takes a lifetime to figure out and all that. Sure, fine. But I'm talking about leaders who know what they're doing, who have a vision, who have a mission, who have values already set up, and they're acting upon those. That's the people we're talking to right now. As you're going along and getting in the heat of battle, sometimes you drift on that. You forget why you're doing what you're doing. You forget the purpose. You forget your vision. Sometimes the mission is like, oh, let's do it this way because it's expedient. You can't do that. You've got to stay true to your values. So your purpose, your mission, your values, those are core things. And you've got to keep them in mind. And when the pressure starts building, that's when they're most important. And that's when you've got to revisit them. So revisit them often. The fourth one is to cultivate a support network. There's an adage that it's lonely at the top, or leadership is lonely. And that's certainly true. So you've got to build a support network. Now, a lot of people say, have your trusted advisors and all that. And that's true. You should. But I would start to separate a little bit. You want to surround yourself with people who understand and are going through what you're going through, because that's helpful. You want to shoot a little bit beyond. You'd like to surround yourself with some people who have already been through what you've been through so they can give you some of the tips and shortcuts. But you also want some people in your life who could care less about the challenges that you're facing at work, your leadership challenges and all that. You need people to have a distraction with, that you can go sailing or golfing or shopping or walk in the park or whatever it is and not have to think about work, not have to think about any of the leadership problems that you have specifically. What will happen with those is it'll give your mind some breathing room, and then you'll get some insights. So I find that the people who could care less about what it is that you do for a living or care less about your leadership position and all that are often very, very valuable to have in your life. So you may want to figure out who those people are and spend a little bit more time with them. The fifth one is to be comfortable with discomfort. Now, why? One, because a lot of people aren't. So if you're comfortable with discomfort, you're automatically kind of enhancing your leadership position anyway. Let's look at it this way. What can you learn from discomfort? Think about the first time you had a flat tire. You were probably panicked. You're like, oh God. But you figured it out. You got through it. And the second time it was unfortunate. The third time, fourth time, fifth time, whether you're with friends or you're helping somebody out, suddenly you're becoming a hero because you're the one who has the knowledge of how to do this stuff. You don't have to be these grand gestures to kind of practice yourself and get used to being uncomfortable. I would start getting excited about trying new things. Look at this discomfort as experiments. Be curious about what happens. Detach from the outcome a bit and just be like, hey, let's see what happens. Now, don't do this with major initiatives. You want to become comfortable with the uncomfortable so that when pressures come in, you're okay with it. You can handle it. And related to that, I would say is the sixth thing. You want to guard against complacency. As you get into the routine and you get better at your job and you've got a good support system and your leading is feeling good and things are going great and you feel terrific, that's awesome. Be careful, because that's where complacency sets in. The moment you have that sense of like, hey, I've arrived, treasure that for a moment, but then watch out, because now you're going to start getting sloppy. Stay curious, keep developing, keep working on improving your own leadership, the people around you, the organization, your systems, whatever it is. Just kind of keep moving, keep improving, keep learning. So anyway, there are 6 ways that you can kind of prepare for leadership and prepare your mind for the pressure that you're going to feel as you grow within leadership. Hope that helps.